what made you walk through the doors at a gym for the first time, and how old were you?
I was 18 years old, just before I was about to turn 19. I even remember the month, it was June. Something just clicked. I've done a lot of different sports before. I've done rugby, done athletics, football. And when I walked into a boxing gym, it just felt different. It just felt completely different. The smell of the gym, the ropes, seeing people get punched in their face. It was a different kind of experience. And when I started doing the training for it, I just fell in love with it. And then since then, I never looked back.
And did you sense that you had that mental strength? Before you'd even had a fight, you gained the type of thing. In your head, you were convinced that you had that mental strength to be a top quality fighter.
Well, I'm a Leo.
So it's down to star signs.
I'm a Leo, so Leo, you know, they're known for a lion mentality, you know, king of the jungles. Our star signs are lions, and lions can be very stubborn. And they're stubborn. You can be stubborn in a bad way, and you can be stubborn in a good way. I take my stubborn tendencies in the ring, or when I'm training. I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop before somebody else. I want to push myself to the limit.
Do you acknowledge that you're stubborn in training? Do you acknowledge that you're stubborn when you're working in the gym?
100%, 100%.
So you know your flaws.
You know what?
If it's a flaw.
I don't think it's a flaw. I feel like that's something that's got me to where I'm at so quick. I was one of them people I got told, you're not allowed to spar him, he's too advanced for you. The first time I ever sparred, I sparred 2 guys that had been to the ABA finals. Wow. The first ever time I sparred. And I left with a black eye, but they left with bruises and bumps also. And I took a confidence away from that. A lot of people would have been disheartened or feel like, you know, is this what boxing's about? You're going to end up with a black eye, you're going to end up with bruised ribs and things like that. I said, no, but I've done the same to him. I said, in a year or two's time, I'm going to take over. I'm going to do even better. So I've always had that mentality. And sometimes when you're in the jungle, lions got no choice. They got no choice but to go and hunt.
So the 12 amateur fights are over. Did you have to turn pro? In your mind, was there nowhere else for you to go? Or could you have stayed as an amateur and become part of the system for a couple of years?
Well, as an amateur, the way my amateur career went was I started training when I was 18. I had my first amateur fight when I was 19. Just before I turned 20 as well, so it was a long time. I trained for like a year and a half before I had any fights. So when I started doing amateur boxing, everyone said I was a ringer because I picked up the technique, I was training hard, I was sparring good.
That means you'd fought before under a different name somewhere, perhaps overseas somewhere.
That's what people were saying.
Perhaps in a different part of the country.
That's what people were saying, but I just took the sport very, very seriously. So I went into the amateurs, had 12 amateur fights. I knocked at everyone bar one. So I knocked at the first guy, and then my amateur coach at the time, Tony Cisse, said to me, if you knock out everybody, you won't get no fights. Yeah. And exactly what he said, after my first fight, it took about 3 months for me to get another fight. People kept coming, pulling out, etc. So the next guy, I boxed him. I beat him up. And they gave him the decision. We went to their backyard. It was an army show, and they gave him the decision. I said, I don't care what no one says about pulling out. I'm knocking at everybody. That was my mentality, just KO, KO. Since that fight, I knocked at everyone in the amateurs. It was hard for me to get fights. I just kept pushing. I said, the fights are gonna come. I'm not gonna go there playing with anybody, and then they give the other guy the decision. I don't like that feeling.
How would you describe your style? How would you describe how you've evolved right at this point now? What are you, a bit of this, a bit of that, or are you just pure Yarde?
I'm a bit Anthony Yarde. The people that I study the most, again, I always pay homage to these people. These people always, they paved the way for so many fighters, whether people want to admit it or not. Floyd Mayweather, master genius, master at defending, master at counter-attacking, everything like that. Not getting hit and hitting the opponent. Roy Jones Jr., spectacular athlete, spectacular boxer. Mike Tyson, ferocious, counter-puncher, precision punching, speed, power. James Toney, fantastic fighter. So again, these are guys that I used to watch, and I used to be like, these guys are amazing. Like what they're doing in the boxing ring, and this, you appreciate even more when you go in the boxing ring and try and attempt it.
When you are in the ring and you get your praise for your patience, you get your praise for picking the shots, you get your praise for your feet, but you seem to be constantly improving. So are we still I'm using the royal we. Are we still a work in progress, Anthony?
100%. I feel like I'm always going to be a work in progress.
Okay.
Always. As Tunde says, I'm still in the embryonic stage of my career. Someone with such little experience, but such big cojones. I'm one of them people. I don't really care about the odds.
You've named some great fighters that you've studied and certain fighters that you've picked up things from. Well, most of those fighters, including Floyd Mayweather, they've been in hard fights. Fights where they've won, but they've had to really push themselves. Or fights where they've lost and they've discovered things about themselves. You haven't been in a fight like that yet. You've been in some good fights. You've won some good fights. You've had to do some thinking. But you haven't yet been in a long, drawn-out, hard 12-rounder where you're in danger of losing, or in fact you do lose. In some way, somewhere inside you. Do you wish you'd had one of those before the Kovalev fight?
Nope. My plans are to keep that from happening. That's every boxer's plan.
Of course it is, yeah.
Every good boxer's plan anyway. I don't feel like any good boxer goes in there and says, oh, I want to get hit to see how I can take it. I want to go in there and have a hard fight to see how I come through it. Every fighter wants to go out there and look spectacular. Or every good fighter wants to go out there and look spectacular. So that's all that's in my mind, and that's what's happened so far. I don't feel that's going to be any different. And
because you know that wherever you need to go, you can go in that ring. Any of the darkest places, you know you can go there.
100%. I feel like it's all in here. It's all mental. It's all your mentality. It's all your mental conditioning. And I feel like it's what you allow into your cerebral capacity. I'm going to go in there, I'm going to knock out Kovalev, and again, I talk like this because it's not me being arrogant or being, boisterous or anything like that. It's a confidence you need to instill within yourself. It's a belief system you need to instill within yourself. I'm going to go out there and do my job. I feel like Kovalev's had these fights, I've had my fights. Kovalev's had way more experience than me. He's been in bigger fights, he's been at this stage so many times before. This is my first time at this stage. But all that matters is what happens in the ring on that night.
Now, it's obvious from the moment you walked into the gym and you saw the boxing, you fell in love with the smell and the rest of that, and then the great fighters that you've studied. I want to ask you this. Are you looking forward to the fight? Are you like, is there something inside you that said, I can't wait for this fight. I can't wait to walk from that changing room and get in that ring?
Do you know why I'm so excited? As I said to you before, it's because I'm here. Every other light heavyweight in England wants to be in my position right now because they've got goals and dreams and aspirations to become world champion. Some fighters might want the easier way. I don't want the easier way. I want to go out there and dethrone Kovalev, someone that when I was an amateur in 2012, when I was watching the Olympics, I think he had a fight in 2012 as a professional, and I watched him fight and I was thinking to myself, this guy's serious.
Yeah.
And
2013, 2014, yeah. He's untouchable, he's unbeatable.
Exactly, so when Anthony Yarde goes out there now, a little kid, started boxing late, 12 amateur fights, 18 professional fights, hasn't fought nobody, goes out there and knocks out Kovalev, the world changes.
So we're now on fight night. It's about 10 o'clock in Russia. It's a big crowd, it's a noisy crowd. You've had your gloves, you had your bandages inspected, you've got your gloves on. You get a tap on the door, you're out waiting to do the walk. Frank Warren's on your left, Tunde's on your right. The curtain comes back, you walk out and there's all those lights and stars with people with their phones. What goes through your head right then, Anthony Yarde?
I'm showing you what's going through my head.
You're throwing the punches, you're getting ready for it.
I'm getting ready. Go out there and enjoy myself, do my thing, and just literally enjoy it. For me, you know what? To a lot of people on the outside, they're saying, you're going in there and fighting Kovalev. Oh, it's going to be a hard fight. It's going to be this, it's going to be that. For me, I'm just going in there and having a fight, When I'm sparring people in the ring, I don't get nervous. When I've had my fight so far, I haven't got nervous. And I feel like the reason that is because I haven't put no pressure on myself.
And finally, what can people expect? How will this fight end?
This fight's going to end Anthony Yarde victorious with a fantastic, spectacular knockout punch.
And the 18-year-old kid that walked into Tony Cisse's gym in East London, who'd never had a fight, he'll be a world champion.
World champion.
That's something to tell your kids and your family, isn't it?
That's something to tell the world. And again, even getting to this stage already, I've motivated hundreds of thousands of kids that thought it was impossible. You know, when they get to the age of 18 and they haven't got a job yet, or they want to start selling drugs, they want to start doing bad things, they want to end up in gangs because they think it's too late for them. It's not too late. In a short space of time, I've done what I've done. Very, very short. And
you'll be on a bigger platform when we come back from Russia. I mean, that's what winning a world title can do.
Yes, massive platform.
Tom and Anthony, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, too, bro.